So here's 8 tips to improve your marketability and your visibility. Number 1, obtain certifications. What certifications? What licenses? What advanced degrees do you need to attain to be considered? You don't want to sit there feeling sorry for yourself because you're not getting promoted, and maybe an advanced degree is a necessity in your particular field. You've got to update your resume and your LinkedIn profile. When I go to LinkedIn profiles of executives, I cringe. You know, you love to put CEO on your LinkedIn profile. You love to put, you know, COO. You know, it amazes me, you know, how boring most of the LinkedIn profiles are of the executives that I review on LinkedIn. Your LinkedIn profile has to be a mini sales presentation. It has to say, wow, this executive is just amazing. Like, look what they've accomplished. Like, wow. Would I say, wow, if I went to your LinkedIn profile, or would I just read and go, oh, another executive? How do you stand out on your LinkedIn profile? Increase the recommendations on your LinkedIn profile. And for God's sakes, coach them. Tell them what it is about you that is your greatest strength. So often when you get recommendations, they're recommending you for things that are way below what you want to be recommended for. And unfortunately, I've been asking LinkedIn for a long time, why don't you put the best recommendations first? They put the last one first. And you know, you could have a very weak, you could have 5 or 6 recent recommendations be very weak, and that's what people are seeing. So you've got to constantly be upgrading your recommendations. You want to assume leadership roles in your professional associations. I know for a fact that when I'm looking for an executive, I always go to the professional associations that represent that profession. And I always look at the board of directors of the association and who are the officers, because I know they're well networked. I know they're successful enough where now they're volunteering their time. They're in a leadership role because that's who they are. They can't help themselves. No matter what organization they join, they end up as an officer on the board of directors, you know, and so you definitely want to get very involved in your professional associations. That is like one of the top feeding grounds for retained search firms and for high-level talent acquisition people that are doing high-level searches. Being published in a trade publication. Do you know how easy it is for somebody with your title to be published in your trade publication? And you might say, I don't like to write. I don't know what to write about. What trade publications do you read? What trade publications do people above you read? What publications do CEOs read? Call those trade publications and say, I'm a COO. I would, you know, what is a topic that you're having trouble, you know, that you really want to publish in your next publication? What are your hot topics? And then you submit an article on a topic that they want to cover. All editions have certain trends. If you notice, you know, every edition will highlight a certain trend. You write an article about that trend and you've just quadrupled your chance of being published. And you've got the credential behind it because you're an executive. Position yourself as an expert in your field online. You know, you don't need to start a blog. You don't need to start a podcast, but are you hanging around online with people at your level and people above your level? And if somebody, you know, if I see, you know, a very high level CEO posting something, am I going to comment on the post showing my expertise? The answer is yes. Who do you follow on LinkedIn? You should follow associations in your field. You should follow CEOs that you admire. You should follow executives of the companies you might see yourself at. You know, you've got to be very strategic about who you follow on LinkedIn. And then when they do something, you've got to react to it. And utilize services of professional organizations like ExecuNet. ExecuNet has a ton of services. I know, I don't even know all the services that they offer, but anytime I'm talking to an executive and they're looking for that coaching, I always refer them there because I know they're going to do a great job. And whether it's ExecuNet or someone else, I always have a coach. I don't know about you. I don't want a mentor. At this point in my career, I don't necessarily need a mentor. I had wonderful mentors. And I must admit that every mentor I had in my profession was a man, because women were not where I wanted to go when I needed a mentor in my career. But now I look for coaches because I find coaches are more valuable when you're an executive than a mentor is.